Aston Martin just revealed a front wing so aggressive, it could either relaunch their championship dream, or expose a flaw they cannot hide. And what happened on day one in Bahrain made this even more dramatic. Because this was not just another aerodynamic tweak. This was Adrian Newey's first real statement on the AMR26. A front wing designed to completely reshape airflow before it even reaches the floor. Stronger outwash. Cleaner air to the Venturi tunnels. Higher aerodynamic efficiency across the entire car. On paper, it is genius. In reality, they barely completed 36 laps. A data anomaly in the Honda power unit shut the garage doors for hours. While Red Bull and McLaren crossed 100 laps, Aston Martin sat still. So now the tension is real. Did they just build one of the smartest front-end concepts on the grid? Or a car so tightly packaged it cannot survive Bahrain heat? Because if this front wing works the way simulations predict, the AMR26 could unlock a completely different performance ceiling. But if reliability keeps limiting mileage, that ceiling means nothing. What we are about to break down explains why this front wing is not just bold. It is high-risk, high-reward engineering at the edge of the new regulations. Subscribe now, because this story could define Aston Martin's entire season. The first thing you notice when the AMR26 rolls out is how low the front wing sits. It almost scrapes the surface visually. But this is deliberate. Aston Martin has flattened the central section more than most rivals. That reduces airflow disruption directly under the nose. It allows cleaner air to feed the beginning of the floor tunnels. And under these regulations, the floor is everything. But the real story is not the center. It is the outer sections. The flaps curve upward more aggressively near the end plates. That shape is not aesthetic. It is aerodynamic force management. Those outer flaps are engineered to push turbulent air away from the front tires. To physically throw dirty air outward before it contaminates the floor edge. Why is that critical? Because once turbulent air enters the Venturi channels, diffuser performance drops. Rear stability drops. Tire temperature control becomes inconsistent. So this front wing is not just about front downforce. It is about protecting the entire aerodynamic platform behind it. And here is where the ambition becomes clear. The end plate design is simplified. Cleaner transitions. Fewer sharp junctions. That reduces unwanted vortices. Less drag. More straight line efficiency. Which is essential if your rear packaging is already extremely tight. Because tight packaging usually means minimal cooling margins. And minimal cooling margins mean you cannot afford excess drag. Everything must work together. Now imagine combining this aggressive front wing airflow management with Newey's compact side pod philosophy. You clean the air early. You feed the floor efficiently. You extract at the rear. It becomes one continuous aerodynamic story from nose to diffuser. But there is a problem. You cannot validate an aerodynamic philosophy from 36 laps. And that is all Aston Martin completed. 36. While rivals doubled or tripled that number. The afternoon shutdown due to the Honda data anomaly changed everything. Because correlation requires comparison runs. Different ride heights. Different flap angles. Different beam wing settings. Without mileage, you cannot confirm whether the front wing's outwash strength remains stable in crosswinds. And Bahrain had wind. Subtle gusts that test airflow consistency. There were moments in the morning where the car looked composed on entry. But without long runs, we do not know how stable it remains once tire degradation sets in. That is the missing piece. And then there is the psychological factor. This front wing is bold. It signals intent. But when a bold concept spends hours in the garage on day one, confidence becomes fragile. Fernando Alonso watched from the garage. Long discussions with engineers. Focused. Analytical. He knows that tomorrow is not just about speed. It is about trust. If he feels a precise front end that holds mid-corner without washing wide, that confirms the airflow cleaning works. If the nose feels inconsistent under braking, the entire philosophy becomes questionable. Because this wing is designed to stabilize everything behind it. And if the foundation wobbles, the rest cannot compensate. There is also a strategic implication. If Aston Martin can generate strong front-end load while keeping drag low, they can run smaller rear wing angles. That increases straight-line speed. That improves overtaking potential. That protects track position. But again, all of that depends on reliability. Because aggressive aero without mileage is theory. And Formula 1 punishes theory. Day 1 revealed two things. A front-wing concept that could be one of the smartest airflow control solutions on the grid. And a reliability question that overshadowed it. Which means the AMR26 stands at a crossroads. The aerodynamic ambition is undeniable. The execution is unproven. And tomorrow will determine whether this front wing becomes the foundation of a competitive season. Or just another example of high-risk engineering waiting for stability? Now the stakes rise. Because what Aston Martin revealed at the front only makes sense when you connect it to what is happening at the back. This is not just a front-wing upgrade. It is the opening move of a fully integrated aerodynamic philosophy. Adrian Newey's fingerprints are obvious. Extremely tight bodywork, compact side pods, aggressive floor shaping, and now, a front wing specifically engineered to protect that entire system. The idea is simple. Control the air early. Own the airflow from the first contact point. If you dominate the wake from the front tires, you protect the floor edge. If you protect the floor edge, you stabilize the diffuser. If you stabilize the diffuser, you unlock rear downforce without excessive drag. It sounds clean, linear, logical, but Formula One is never that simple. Because airflow does not behave perfectly once tires degrade. And here is the hidden danger. A front wing that generates very strong outwash can become sensitive to yaw. Yaw happens mid-corner, when the car rotates, when steering angle increases. If the outwash vortex collapses at high steering input, airflow to the floor edge becomes inconsistent. That leads to balance swings. And balance swings destroy driver confidence. We did not get enough mileage on day one to see that scenario. That is the frustration. Only short stints. Only baseline validation. No real race simulation. No extended medium compound degradation analysis. And without that, Aston Martin is effectively one step behind in tire understanding. McLaren already knows how the C3 compound degrades over 15 laps. Red Bull already knows how stable their platform remains at high fuel loads. Aston Martin does not. That loss data might matter more than outright pace. Because you cannot optimize a front wing angle without knowing how the tire surface evolves under load. And tire behavior changes airflow balance. Everything is connected. There were also whispers in the paddock about cooling stress. Mechanics repeatedly working near the radiators. Long garage stays. And then the official statement. A data anomaly in the Honda power unit. Careful wording. But significant impact. Now imagine this scenario. You build an ultra-efficient front wing. You compress bodywork to reduce drag. You maximize aerodynamic potential. But the tight packaging increases thermal load. You are forced to open cooling louvres. That increases drag. That disrupts airflow. And suddenly the benefit of your carefully sculpted front wing is diluted. This is the razor edge Aston Martin is walking. High aerodynamic reward. High integration risk. And then there is Fernando Alonso. He steps into the car next. Not just as a driver. As a reference point. Alonso will immediately sense whether the front end is trustworthy under heavy braking. He will feel if mid-corner rotation is progressive. He will know if the front wing airflow collapses under load shift. And his feedback will be brutally honest. If he reports a sharp, planted nose, optimism surges. If he reports inconsistency, internal pressure multiplies. Because Aston Martin's ambition is not midfield survival. It is title relevance. And title relevance demands reliability plus aerodynamic depth. Right now, they have shown ambition. They have shown creativity. They have shown a willingness to design aggressively. But they have not yet shown stability. And that is the missing piece. The AMR26 front wing could be one of the most intelligent airflow control devices on the grid. It could be the key to unlocking Newey's full floor concept. But until it runs for 100 laps without interruption, it remains potential. Not proof. Day one did not answer the performance question. It created a bigger one. Is this the beginning of a breakthrough? Or the first warning sign that the integration came too late? Tomorrow is not just another test session. It is the moment where theory meets endurance. And in Formula One, endurance always reveals the truth. Now let us push this even further. Because the real impact of Aston Martin's front wing is not about Bahrain alone. It is about what happens if they fix the reliability issue quickly. Imagine this. The Honda anomaly is resolved overnight. Alonso completes 100 laps tomorrow. The front wing airflow proves stable across long runs. Suddenly, the narrative flips. From concern to threat. Because if this front wing truly cleans airflow as efficiently as it appears, Aston Martin gains something extremely valuable. Consistency in dirty air. That changes racecraft entirely. If the airflow feeding the floor remains stable even when following another car, tire degradation becomes easier to manage. Rear instability reduces. Overtaking confidence increases. And in modern Formula One, the ability to follow closely without overheating tires is a weapon. Red Bull's dominance in past seasons often came from aerodynamic stability in turbulent air. If Aston Martin has built a front wing that neutralizes turbulence earlier in the airflow chain, they could close that gap dramatically. But here is the hidden psychological layer. When a team spends most of day one in the garage, rivals relax. They assume integration problems. They assume delay. They assume weakness. And sometimes, that assumption becomes dangerous. Because if the aerodynamic concept is strong, and the reliability issue is minor, Aston Martin could emerge from day two with a refined package while others are already comfortable. Comfort slows urgency. And urgency wins development races. There is also the Newey factor. His philosophy has always been about airflow purity. Reduce disturbance early. Maximize efficiency downstream. This front wing fits that blueprint perfectly. It is not flashy. It is functional. It is strategic. And if it works, it amplifies every aerodynamic surface behind it. Now think about the championship context. Ferrari is pushing aggressive rear extraction. Red Bull is refining stable balance. McLaren is maximizing tire consistency. Aston Martin is trying to control airflow at the very first contact point. Different philosophies. Different risk levels. But the front wing is where all aerodynamic stories begin. If Aston Martin has solved that entry point more intelligently than rivals, their ceiling might be higher than it looks today. However, none of that matters if the power unit continues to trigger anomalies. Because aerodynamic innovation without reliability is invisible on race day. The car cannot score points from the garage. And that is the tension hanging over the AMR26 right now. Brilliance at the front. Uncertainty at the core. Alonso's session will define whether this project is accelerating forward, or still stabilizing itself. If he reports confidence under braking and rotation mid-corner, engineers will know the airflow cleaning concept holds under pressure. If he feels instability, development direction must adjust immediately. And development time is limited. Under new regulations, the first 3 races often shape the entire season trajectory. Fall behind early, and recovery becomes exponentially harder. So what Aston Martin revealed is not just a front wing. It is intent. It is risk tolerance. It is a declaration that they are not building cautiously. They are building ambitiously. But ambition without execution is fragile. And in Bahrain, fragility showed itself. Now the entire paddock waits.